Oh, fucking in the middle of a detox, actually.
You are?
Yeah, I'm trying to get it together.
Get on the 13 coffees a day, that'll detox. Detox the fuck out of it.
It's really good for the bowel movement.
Alright.
Alrighty. Yeah.
Alright, just, do your best attempt at an introduction, and if I fucking hate it, I'll stop.
Okay, cool. Alright, so welcome to TMR News. Here we are again for our second edition, and we are here to talk about everything that makes the world turn and everything that's important in this world. And we've broken it down for you again, so we're going to list off a few important points of where we're going with today's news, and then, you can stay around and listen, or you can leave, or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
We're okay with that. Anarchist news.
Anarchist news.
It is a bit like that. Okay, this week I'll be doing most of the talking because last week Sean was kind enough to bring the vast majority of our stories, and today someone else is listening
We're just here for comic relief, alright? We'll just keep it light, alright?
So, next time Chris is going to provide you with the content. Now, our first piece of news, and this is freaking unbelievable. I'm going to struggle to not swear in the next 2 minutes.
It's local news.
It is local.
Yeah.
Our police, our guardians, they keep us safe. They make you sleep soundly at night. Are looking after us again with cameras. They are going to film you from distances of about 700 meters while you're not looking in your car. And should you look distracted, should you be, I don't know, if you're a girl putting on some makeup or looking around or maybe eating a burger or checking your phone while stuck in traffic as any normal human being would do, $433 fine. It is more than speeding 30 Ks in excess and for demerit points. And is this making us safer, Sean? Like, what do you guys think about it?
Well, I can see some police stations getting burned down. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but I tell you what, when some of those fines come out, I can see some people getting really angry.
Look, I think it's just obviously, it's all just another money grab. Obviously, there are people in dark rooms sitting there going, I wonder how we can get more money out of these motherfuckers. And, you just can imagine, there are actually people there because, it's just this perpetual motion fucking system where the government system where they get bigger and then they get results. It's sort of like, okay, yeah, sure, you can just put rules and laws and anything that you want on these people, and okay, yeah, sure, it's going to save some lives, but when is it the time where enough is enough? It'll probably save some lives. Yeah, you could put laws on everything, and you can make sure people walk on the dotted line for their whole life. But
on a serious note,
if we put everybody, if we were to feed everybody irradiated food, which is bacteria free, and put them in straitjackets, we are going to save
some lives.
Thousands.
Save some fucking lives, definitely. And save the children.
But on a serious note, when we had our speed cameras for our cars, so you're breaking the speed, camera in discreet car on the side of the roads filming you as you break the speed limit. That was all done by the police, and then a private company took it over, and of course a private company's got to make a profit. They've got to do it over so many hours a day, so many fines, blah, blah, blah. So this is just another... Now the police are running this particular operation, but before you know it, it'll be another private company buying the contract from the government and out there raking in revenue for the government, making a profit. It's ridiculous. It's just...
All right, I'm going to cut you guys off there because this is the brief part, and we're going to talk about all of these stories in much more detail. The next two are exactly on the same topic. There are crazy, interesting news in the realm of alternative fuels. The U.S. military is working on projects that in a decade should stop their use of tankers for the Navy, Navy ships. They're going to be synthesizing a carbon-based water fuel from seawater. So they'll be basically using their nuclear reactors and reworking seawater to create a fuel. and then from that, all the other ships are going to refuel. Pretty interesting. They should have that with a decade. I don't know how much it's going to change the world, because if it's owned by the U.S. military, it certainly isn't going to feed any kids in Africa. Even more interesting, even more sensational, a company, again in the U.S., and it's SF-CIHT Cell. So I don't know what the acronym stands for, but it's a solid water-based plasma fuel. So think of something, I don't know, solid and water-based. The only thing I can think of solid and water-based is ice. And you pass a massive amount of electricity through it. It turns into plasma, which is like sun. It turns into basically a super, 50,000 times brighter than the sun. You put solar panels all around it, and you take off the electricity.
Yeah.
And so this thing apparently costs $25 a kilowatt. Your solar panels cost $1 a watt, which is $1,000 a kilowatt. So, go figure. I mean, this could be a revolution in power generation. Yeah. They don't make any claims about it being anything like free energy or over unity, but it's simply a highly potent, not very expensive, fuel-based power generation, and that this could be, a game changer.
Hopefully the people who invented that will be around long enough to be able to see it through this time. Hopefully they don't get knocked off or have an accident driving home, or get fined so much that they commit suicide or something like that.
Well, what generally happens, they get bought out by Chevron or Woodside.
They'll be offered exorbitant amounts of money for the technology.
And they say something along the lines, we are looking for a bright future for the world with this. Like, I never... I'll break my own rule and go slightly off topic, but there was a presentation by this guy called Peter Diamandis, and he was saying how great this company was for inventing the cheapest water purifying system in the world, and how they are going to finally bring drinking water to all of Africa because they have gotten massive investment. They sold out to Coca-Cola. And of course, this was like 4 years ago. Nothing has happened on the front. Like, a major corporation is not, they benefit from scarcity. They're never going to, leverage one of these technologies to make life easier.
Well, these Africans should be buying bottled water, Sonny.
I think
probably
so.
Evian. They're French. They got it down pat.
They should be.
It's better for the economy. It's better for the world population because
better for Nestle.
Better for Nestle.
Yeah, I know.
You can build homes out of those bottles.
Everyone wins.
And you could build homes out of those bottles.
And with the leftover ones, you can make works of
art and come to Australia.
Works of art on the beach.
I'd say if you're Nestle,
the government we got now.
I would say if you're Nestle, you're probably thinking the spare bottles are a lot better than the spare Africans. I think that is literally the mindset in terms of these giant multinational companies is human life just doesn't.
No, it doesn't factor in. Of course not.
It never does.
No, of course not.
Unless you can burn those bodies to run the boiler, to make fuel, to run the engines of capitalism.
Maybe if they insured them, and then I don't know. But it's
how much oil is in a human body compared to a baby seal?
Well, I don't know. Maybe in the Mediterranean regions there's a bit more.
All right, next story. Google has just applied for a whole host of patents to be making contact lens cameras.
Contact lens camera, that's what you want.
You want the police...
Imagine the amount of porn on the net then. Just put your contact lens in, she wouldn't even know.
So that man sitting at the table... So the guy sitting at the table in McDonald's, right? Drooling is not exactly drooling over the burger. He could be downloading porn on his friggin' contacts.
You could, I mean, the next thing's going to be you'd get a subscription to, I don't know, some seedy sports star,
Voyager.
Buddy, you'd be like Buddy Franklin for a day with his.
Just be like, Yeah, that'd be the best. Oh no, that's true too. Like, I mean, could you like put that feed to the internet, and then you could just like
you can rent
this
it
is
out.
what I'm doing. This is what. Yeah.
You can rent it out. I mean, that's coming.
That's
like,
awesome.
You're, someone like Kim Kardashian.
That's
like you'd be paying $50 a day to be Kim Kardashian, and then you'd be seeing like
I'd be good out of my fucking
on
mind.
top of you or something. It'd be
Yeah,
terrible.
I know.
But anyway, that's
that takes reality TV to a whole new level. Like that sounds like there'd be a lot of people out there that would be.
Yeah, well, I want to be George Bush. I'd just make him jump off a fucking cliff. Driving my car into a brick wall.
Alright, so I've got I just got two more very quick ones. Yeah, Russia and China are about to sign, and they reckon they'll have it done by the end of May. The biggest ever gas deal between the two countries, and of course, this is followed by the news that Russians are provoking Americans in the Black Sea region. It's like...
Well,
Black Sea is in Russia, right?
I'll give you something. Don't go to the Black Sea.
To give you an idea, it's like me strapping myself with guns and going to your house and saying, "Why are you provoking me?"
Well, here's a better one.
You're looking at me the wrong way.
The Russian fleet are up in those Great Lakes between Canada and USA, just doing circles.
Yeah, I know.
That's provoking.
And no. And then, it'd be like the Russians were being, like, if they were in the Great Lakes of, like, next to Chicago, and some American jet flies by, like, imagine them saying, "We're being provoked here." Like, that, it's like...
Well, I think you can look at it from the example as, could you imagine if Russia decided that Mexico wasn't getting enough democracy, and they wanted to go down there and spread the word of democracy along the border? Could you just see the Americans' reaction to that?
Yeah.
No, like something is insane here. All right, finally, Sean, you brought us this one. What happened?
Oh, look, it just actually eventuated probably about 12 hours ago. There was there's a Nigerian terrorist group, Islamic terrorist group, and they've got obviously big problems with anything to do with the West, and there's a lot of Western educated students, and they happened to go to a girls' boarding school and kidnap 100 of these boarding school girls, and they've taken them, and no one knows where they are now. So, normally kidnapping stories aren't too popular, but I was like 100 schoolgirls. Yeah, that might be worth a mention. So, I
mean, it's really hard to kidnap 100 people. I've never kidnapped anyone, but I'm trying to imagine the logistics of like 100 people.
100 schoolgirls.
You need like 3 buses, man. Like,
surely, yeah, and you need to well-armed people. Like, you wouldn't want that going wrong.
The other question is too is that why don't they like these kids getting taught in the Western way? Is it because they just don't like girls to be educated?
I think
is that where we're at? We don't want educated people. We want to live under the what is it? The Quran.
Dude, the Wahhabis is like, I mean, the 95% of Muslims are, how do I say, no different from 95% of Christians in the West when you look at the general cross section of how they spend their day and what their values are.
Yeah.
But I don't think we have an exact equivalent of these people that take this stuff literally, and it's a lot of the Wahhabism is literally people blindly believing cult leaders. Like, they have like religious mullahs.
Yeah.
So if I go and I start a mosque and everybody in my area is illiterate, I mean, I can say, "Oh, I just read this, and it says that
I spoke to Allah last night.
You should give me,
Good God.
God said that you're going to give me your wife every Sunday, or that you will burn in hell forever."
Right.
But not you. Your wife's too fat. Like it has nothing. Like, what I'm saying is that these guys. I have a very good friend that grew up in Afghanistan. And he said that those guys had nothing to do with genuinely following a religion.
But isn't that why you got chucked out of Afghanistan, Sonny? Is that why?
Dude, like...
That's the problem they were having a lot in Saudi Arabia. Well, it's not a problem for the people making the law, there's Sharia law and that, but it's the actual princes there. It's actually written, like, in the scriptures that they can actually, like, well, they've written it in that they can actually create the law as they go. So it's sort of like, no, you're not allowed to buy anything, like, in the pure fundamentalist, like, it's Saudi Arabian, like, Islamic culture. You're not allowed to buy anything from the West unless you're these people, unless you're like the people with all the money, and then so they can buy all the sports cars and the Lamborghinis and all that, but no one else is allowed to buy them. And then you're not allowed to like do like, so they just create the law as they go.
It's just
and then they say
up.
all you guys have to follow it.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't, you'll fucking die.
You know what the worst thing is? The Saudis have to be the most uneducated Muslims of them all. I mean, they are really backward coming forward.
Dude, I went to an international school when I was a kid, and we, you know, whatever.
Was that in the Ukraine there, Sonny?
Libya.
Libya.
You're linking me with every third world country that ever existed. That's the running joke.
Yeah.
When they mention some like ignominious place that no one's ever heard of, oh, that's where you're from, Sonny.
Uzbekistan.
But the thing I'll never forget, you know, and this may sound a little racist, but we had, as I said, kids from 100 different countries.
Yeah.
And these people from the Gulf, and I'm talking Qatar, the Emirates, Saudi Arabia, they have a number of different Emirates as well as Bahrain, and I don't know, a couple of those places. But whatever, every time you see these kids from the Gulf, man, they're not very bright. And I'd say it's the inbreeding, because their dad's their uncle, and it's just like
inbreeding is not racism. It's not a race issue.
Islamic, or is that part of Islam?
No, it's not to do with Islam.
No, it's just
but like
what they're
the
into.
whole thing. Who are the diplomats? They're the royal family.
Yes,
and the royal families.
They like their bloodlines, don't they?
Maintain their wealth, and that's why they
bloodlines.
and the normal people there are just normal, but it's just like, you know, half the monarchs in the world are inbred and half insane. You know, like it's inbreeding's a bad freaking idea.
Yeah, it's not the best.
No,
not when your son looks like a camel.
No.
So, on the other hand, you know, when you look at these Arabs, right? You go to the Gulf, as I say, and they have all the money in the world, but they just have the lowest level of achievement of anything. It's just oil money. Yeah. Then you go to somewhere like Palestine, where they have nothing. Nothing. They are being shot at like 16 hours a day, and 99.9% literacy rate, and these people are really, you know, switched on, know what's going on in the world, really smart, and like, it's a very, very strange thing to contemplate. And, you know, they're Arabs. No, I don't think that the genetical material is very different between people from the Gulf versus Palestine. But it just tells you that what's going on in Saudi Arabia and the Gulf is probably one of the most corrosive cultures to human development.
What's that red light on your chest there? You're talking about one of the worst races on the planet. I'm not going to say they're the worst as in what they are.
Not races, cultures.
Cultures. They don't like any criticism whatsoever.
They don't
like anyone telling them what to do.
That's the only way that you can improve yourself. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're probably in the wrong room. You know what I mean? You know, so like, I mean, the only way you're going to improve yourself if someone's going, hold on there. I know what you're doing there, and that's pretty fucked up. Maybe you should fucking rethink that and move ahead. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but no one's saying that. And like, that, if someone does say something like that, then it's sort of like, well, we're going to kill you, or we're going to lock you in jail, or we're going to fucking do something.
It's a totalitarian dictatorship by a royal family. I mean, like, human beings are meant to have moved on from this shit like 200 years ago. And
but they're only supported by the US and the British.
And I know, because they provide the petroleum. So, like, no. Look, I am absolutely. How do I put it? There's a million cultures that I would love, adore, and put above even my own and the one that I live in. But from what I've seen about the Gulf, there is like something's pretty wrong over there, and
big time. Well, I mean,
yeah.
even Qatar, for example. I mean, that story just came out last week, like where they're having the 2022 World Cup. The host city hasn't even been built yet. The host city for the 2020 World Cup hasn't even. There's not even a city there yet. It's just a patch of ground. They're like, we'll build a city there if we can have the World Cup, and then they're just going to build this like fucking 5 million person city. Just like, yeah, no, because we need to have the World Cup somewhere, so we're going to build it and build all these stadiums around. It's going to be glorious, and you should see the plans for it. It's ridiculous, and that's what happens when you got a lot of oil under your country. You just build a city for a football game. Like, why not?
All right, I think that concludes our summary. There was one more story, and in fact, I think we're going to cover the story as the start of our extended edition. So in the extended edition, we're going to talk about all the news we mentioned so far, but we'll discuss it and go on even more tangents. And then I think we started going on tangents with the whole Gulf states, but nonetheless, let's move on to this one, because this is something interesting. Chris, I know that there's a particular talk show host that you do listen to, and has been talking about this for the last 4 days. There was a standoff.
Yeah.
Oh, the Bundy Ranch.
The Bundy Ranch. Are you clued into what's going on?
Oh yeah, I think it's
tell
incredible.
me about it. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know about this.
well, the Bundy Ranch is a they're not Mormon ranchers, right?
Mormons,
yeah, I think they're Mormons.
I love the Mormons.
They've been on this ranch for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 generations, hundreds of years.
Wow.
Yeah, they've been there forever, and they had grazing rights. This is before they even had a federal government. I think they just grazed this. It wasn't their land. They've got their land, and there's this national park, and the park they've been grazing on. They've had grazing rights for hundreds of years, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the federal government, or the land management, which is called the BLM, land management,
Bureau of Land Management,
they were supposed to just be managing land, but now they're not managing land. Now they're enforcing it. And what I find, I know this is a little bit off topic, but what I find is, it seems in America, every government department has an armed SWAT team. Like your land management has snipers, fucking gun-totaling morons, right?
Yeah, like,
I'm surprised at the National Library. If you don't bring your library book back, there's a SWAT team for that. I was thinking about it the other night. I'm going, there's a fucking SWAT team in everything. You could be, I don't know.
But why? And I think it's obvious why, right?
Well, the thing is, they want to take this land. They want this land back. They don't want him grazing on it anymore. And he said, "Well, I have grazing rights." But what they've been doing, they've been muscling out the farmers in the US. The big corporations want to run all the farms. They don't want family farms anymore. So they've been muscling these people out.
May I just
this is how they've been doing it.
May I just interject? And this is how much America has changed. In the 30s, in the turn of the century, America was famous, right, for saying we are not going to have these British land aristocracy. We're not going to have a few people owning all the land, and we're not going to have companies owning all the land. No. They were literally handing out land and giving out practically interest-free loans to people that were going to build houses on that land. So they were just giving land to the people, so we have hundreds of thousands of farmers, and they own the land. And that way we have people owning the land, and they'll be producing for everybody, they'll be competing against each other. So America was built. Even, I think the last person to do that was...
well, it was after the Second World War. They were still handing out land to the returned servicemen. So there you go.
I was going to say the last person to do that was Theodore Roosevelt. And he was there just after the Second World War. Yeah. And, no, wait. Truman took over at the end of the Second World War. So it was... But in a country whose culture it was to give out this vast amount of empty land to individuals who are going to farm on it, is now doing the exact opposite, where big corporations are just buying out little farmers everywhere, and the federal government is just making up all kinds of this grazing rights, this management, they're making up all kinds of rules and regulations to kick the little farmers out and give them.
But this is not state. This is federal. This is USA federal government that's trying to kick him out off this land. And they've like I said, they've been using the land for hundreds of years. And they've come in and they've decided that, they've got a solar farm project, as far as I know.
Yep.
Some Chinese company wants to come in. I don't know if it's exactly...
Associated with Harry Reid, who is the Senate Majority Leader.
So politicians with their hands in the trough,
Yep.
noses in the trough, making deals, but they've got to get rid of the grazier, right? You can't have that in there and do your solar farm. But the point is that this is going on right throughout the US, and they even had a spot there where people were coming to help this farmer out, right? They didn't want him to get shot. They didn't want it to be an all-out assault. So all these people have rolled up, and the government's decided, no, we're going to have a Second Amendment, freedom of speech area, where you can all stand. And the Americans, because you know how crazy they can get, what do you mean? I thought we could speak freely anywhere. You know, there's no, look, you're just going to be here. Unlike our country, where we don't have freedom of speech.
Oh, well, we don't have
we don't have a constitution.
You don't have a freedom to fucking eat a sandwich in your car.
So set up this Second Amendment area where you could only have free speech, reporters and people, and they pretty much said, no, that doesn't work. You can't do that. What are you rewriting the Constitution now? So it's come off all right, but as far as I can see, they've BLM's pulled out.
Just to put it explicitly, what supposedly happened is that a bunch of cowboys, literally on horseback, man. This is
but they had a few of those. What do they call those? Not military.
The ex-military veterans. And
but they come down with their guns. The militia come down. A few guys with guns and stuff, and they back down. But I've also heard that the hotels are being all booked up by federal government employees. So I don't know whether the FBI's down there. I don't know whether other groups are down there, but they seem to be loading up all the hotels now, even though the BLM is back down, that they're filling it up with federal. So I think they're going to have another go once everyone's cleared off. So we'll wait and see what happens. Oh, and now they're calling him a domestic terrorist, this Bundy guy. I think it's great. You try to stand up for your own rights, and you're a domestic terrorist.
Yeah.
You're evil because you just want to graze and grow cattle.
Your family's been doing this for 200 years, and somebody 20 years ago invented a department that wants your money.
Yeah.
And
you are the terrorist. And you can imagine, if you've got your own snipers, you've got your own SWAT team, you've got all this, you've got all these vehicles and all this equipment, you're getting huge funding. So you've got to do something with it.
Well, I mean,
why are you standing around smacking your ass?
Chris, but I think there's nothing really sort of highly sinister about why they all have their own SWAT team and snipers. It's not that they've been planning, like Alex Jones said, to...
Well, every man in the country's got a gun, so...
take over and fight the civilians and whatever. Put everybody in FEMA camps. But think about it this way. Their biggest industry is oil companies, which are now multinational. So that, in effect, the biggest employer domestically in America is defense. Defense means the guys that manufacture the SWAT team cars. So, these guys are the biggest, they don't even need to bribe politicians. Politicians beg them to come to their state because they're going to employ 10,000 people.
Yeah.
So the main industry, the whole country, is producing weapons. So if that's your main industry, then somebody's got to buy it. So if I'm a senator from Arizona and I'm begging, Raytheon to come to Arizona because they're going to bring 20,000 jobs, then I'm also going to promise Raytheon, yes, I'll buy your SWAT tanks.
Yeah.
And so now what's happening, because this industry is so prolific, is that they have pushed on, space-age weaponry on local cop department.
Yeah.
So you live in a little town, with 200 people. Literally, there's a brawl once a month, and they deliver you your own SWAT tank, crowd control unit.
Apache helicopter. Ready to take out a bar fight. Drones. We're going to fly some drones in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a comedy, but that's really genuinely what's going on in America.
I know.
Oh, well, it'll all burn one day. We'll see what happens.
Think of the people that are the cops.
So
imagine you're sitting there, you spent a lifetime of watching Rambo movies.
Yeah, I know.
I was about to say that. Last 20 years of Rambo.
Yeah.
That concept of, like, local authority, the mindset, the mentality of the local authority, you know, personnel, with their mindset of control. Now, I've got a lot of police in my family, so, I mean, I think about this quite a bit. You know, but I sort of try and get in the head of it because, you know, nothing, like, it's the same as someone in the army. Nothing like this happens unless these people are there following orders from, you know, from up top. Nothing happens. Like, everything breaks down. If these people go, hold on, what I'm doing is a bit fucked up here. I'm not gonna do this anymore. Or, like, there's some sort of, you know, disinterest in the ranks of, like, you know, the local cops and that. They're, like, actually beating these people and putting capsicum spray in their face because they're trying to save a tree is probably not the thing I should be doing. You know what I mean?
Wait a minute. Sean, why do they wear a uniform?
Oh, no.
It's one in, all in. And if you can't fit that mould,
yeah, definitely.
You get arseholes really quick. That's the way.
You do. Yeah, I mean, it just blows my mind because, I mean, everything we're talking about, it's not the people at the top. The people at the top are the guys that have, like, they're just the ones pointing fingers and going, you do that, and yeah, this will be a good idea. It's all a bit of a game, you know what I mean? It's all like,
they're paid.
Yeah, no, they are, but the ones, if we're gonna get anywhere in this, like, game of fucking chess, like international chess and the way it's gonna happen, the way that we're going to make any, like, you know, consciousness leap of, you know, human beings becoming more peaceful is getting to those people on the bottom lines of the control system.
I'll never forget this. I've tried to have conversations during Occupy Melbourne.
Yep.
There was always a whole lot of cops. I mean, you could not be in that sort of main occupation area without there being 5 cops around, 24/7, and people were really nice to them. They were bringing them free food, drinks, and, you know, some of the cops were quite nice, and I wound up talking to a few of them. And I asked them, so what if they order you to kick us out? They said, well, what we do is we follow orders. And I'm like, well, is that, you know, are there any orders you wouldn't follow? No. What we sign up to do is we follow orders. Like, what if they ordered you to shoot at us? And, like, stop asking me, and then, well, instead of actually saying that they would shoot at us, probably, I don't know, like, that was probably, it got to them. It's like, you know, look, I'm done talking to you, like, stop asking me these questions. Well, I mean...
Now you're making them think.
Because...
Yeah, I know, exactly. Now you're making them think.
You know, they said, I think, you know, we just follow orders, and the reason we follow orders is because it's the right thing to do, and nobody would order us to shoot at you. And I'm like,
oh, well, about that.
I'm thinking about the number of times in history that police and military have shot at their own people is freaking countless.
Yeah, but you can also understand is you got your traffic cop, you got your detective, you got your beat cop, you got your highway patrol cop, and then you got the SWAT cop, right? The SWAT cop are all mentally disturbed, right? Yeah. You don't get into SWAT. I mean, when I was doing the army thing, we trained on the rifle range with the SWAT team at the time. I'm not going to mention the year, and they're all a bunch of freaks, right? They're all gun freaks, all nutbags, and I'm surprised they could even have any type of discipline whatsoever because they all thought they were Clint Eastwood and Rambo. Like, you just, how do you, and that was one of the things that when our officer in charge at the time couldn't figure out, goes, you know, like, in the army, it's one in, all in, right? You're either in or you're out. There's no, you don't think for yourself. And that's probably why I got thrown out. But when we saw them in what they're doing their job, how do you control these guys? You can't. Yeah. They're all narcissistic fucking morons. Yeah. But that's who they recruit for that job, because those are the guys that'll go, hey, you got to shoot these protesters. They're getting out of control. They're zombies. They're zombies. Zombie apocalypse. Yeah. Mate, they'd pull out their gun in a second, wouldn't even think about it. Yeah. But do you know what? At the end of the day, they would never, ever think that one day they could be standing up in court and someone could be saying, well, you pulled the trigger, mate. Doesn't matter who ordered you. You pulled the trigger. Yeah, exactly. They'd be in jail. They'd be in jail before you know it. They wouldn't still be thinking about it. Why? Why am I in jail? Yeah. That's what I was told. You kill a few people, bash that baby over the head. I know, You know, like, that's just the way it is.
That's, I suppose,
they employ I mean, I just heard something really good the other day. The High Court judge in the US, right? The top, I think it's about 15 of them. The top court, their High Court. Everyone in there has got some sort of corruption in their background of how they got to that position. They've done the wrong thing. Yeah. And what happens is that I'm not going to say the president. I'm going to say the public servants around the president.
You're talking about the US, yeah?
In the US, yeah.
Yeah.
And they've brought all these people to the top, and they go, well, why do these really good judges who want to become the High Court judges, like they've always done the right thing, they've got a great track record, they never make it to High Court judge. It's because they've got nothing on them.
Yeah.
Dude, it is. You're so
They
right.
only bring up the guys who are corrupt, who have been caught out in the past, so they can be controlled.
I would encourage everybody to go out Google Russell Tice. He's an NSA whistleblower, and he personally was responsible for doing background checks on candidates for the Supreme Court.
Yeah, there you go.
And he said he wasn't the guy selecting the judges. He was just doing background checks. He'd do background checks on all the candidates. And he said, like, I could always predict who was going to get selected. And it was always the dirtiest of them all.
Holy shit.
And, like, you kind of see the system. You only make it if you're blackmailable. And then the people who've put you there can control you.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because if you're just an honest person and you have a high, powerful position in an institution like the Supreme Court...
You're unpredictable.
Then yeah, God knows what you can do.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah.
So and this is the trouble. When people vote, thinking they're voting, they're always selecting from people that are already compromised.
Yeah.
And so you're thinking this guy. Well, you know, when you looked at Barack Obama initially, and I mean, that was about the last time I was majorly fooled by the media. You know, I was saying, well, you know, he's taking all this money from these corporations, but he'll shaft them for the people. And, you know, I honestly think that the guy might even have had some good intentions. I don't know if he's just a really evil person. He's done more evil shit than Bush.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, I think
he's black.
I think that guy has so many skeletons in his closet because you could predict his every move on every major issue on the basis of what major corporations want. His foreign policy has been
especially with
neocon foreign policy.
Especially with the GFC and like him putting Bernanke in as and just, you know, bailing out the banks and that. Like, I mean, he played the fiddle perfectly, didn't he? Like, absolutely perfectly.
He was worse than Bush. And I mean, all I can say
is Bush with charisma.
That there is no normal human being, right?
No.
That would sit there and objectively make these decisions.
Yeah.
Like, you would have to be either hateful or indifferent towards the good of the common people, or completely blackmailed. And
I reckon he's a CIA student.
On that scale, I'd say I would much more bet that he's completely blackmailed than he himself being some giant, strong insider acting for his own, you know, like. Yeah.
That's such a stage. Like, I mean, how do you even stand up there and go, hold on, what was I told? What's the truth, and what do I have to say? So, like, are you like, you go, look, I know, like, I've been told what to say. This is just what I'm going to say, because you can't be standing up there on the world stage going, look, I know that I'm not telling the truth at the moment, but I've got to say this. And what was I supposed to say in that instant? I know that's fucking not right, but is that what? Like, because I mean, how many stories could you have in your head going around? You'd have to think that.
That's why he's having the teleprompter with him everywhere. Because the number of lies that he has to keep up with is just so big.
Why can't the whistleblower that writes his stuff, right? Who writes every one of his scripts, come out and say, oh yeah, I got to keep track of all of them, you know. I got an algorithmic fucking computer running in the lies to make sure they all come together.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's the funniest thing is, you couldn't pick a better president, because he could stand there and take money from the poorest people in America, the black, unemployed youth, right? No, I'm sorry. These are, you know, the Mexicans, the blacks, you know. He could take money from them, and he could look them in the face on Oprah and go, oh, things are getting better, and I'm here for you. Well, after he's written out a bill saying I'm taking your welfare
like
check.
$7 trillion.
And I'm taking your welfare check, and I'm not going to. And all those.
They fuck you over, and now we're going to take $11 trillion, and then we're going to give it straight back to them, and you're going to pay for it.
And the food stamps.
Yeah.
You're wasting them.
And then Obamacare, and then, oh no, I'm trying to give you all insurance. I'm trying to give you all free healthcare, but then you have to pay money to the insurance companies to get them rich.
And then we'll subsidise the insurance companies if you don't.
I know, and then we'll give money back to the insurance company.
By the way, I'll give a plug to an awesome channel. Have you guys seen the Joy Camp video on Obamacare?
No.
It's too good. I'm tempted to
put a link.
Yeah, I'll put
down
a link
here.
in there. It's down in there. Yeah. I'll actually write a note for myself in 41 minutes. Link to Joy Camp.
Yeah.
But it's like these guys, they knock on doors, and the guy's like not answering because he's seeing it's some bloody salesman, and it's like, Obamacare! Oh, we see your home! We see your home! Obamacare! And like the guy opens up and they pull out guns. Okay, we need you to, sir, it's for your own good. We need you to sign up for Obamacare. And then he signs up and he's like, okay, now pay us. But it's affordable healthcare, not free healthcare. What did you think you're signing up for?
Yeah, that's right.
And like it was, but you should see the sketch. It's actually hilarious. Like I hope I didn't.
I saw the Joy Camp for the new iPhone, Spy Phone 5.
iPhone 5.
That is so funny.
But like, let's just going back through these stories. I'd like to touch back on the speed camera one, because. People outside Australia, or people that have only lived in Australia, they don't get the perspective of what a controlled society this is. Like, you're being treated like a kid.
Yeah.
There are fines and regulations for everything.
Everything, yeah.
Like, you can't ride your bicycle without a helmet. They're going to fine you for that.
No. Like, yeah, when you go to Thailand, they are freer than what we are in Australia.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like,
you can't.
The third world country is freer than what we've got in Australia.
If you were to, I don't know.
Yeah, but we got a Prime Minister that puts on 2 socks, and he talks to people like you and me, 40-year-old, 30-year-old adults, and goes, this is the Ukrainian thing, right? There's goodies and baddies in this world. Goodies, the America, and baddies, the Russians. And that's how he talks to us. I mean, this freak thinks that we're all so fucking uneducated that we can't even take in the information and figure he's got to tell us who the goodies and baddies are. I mean, that's because that's how they explain it to him.
I think so. But, like, going back to this notion of, like, what a controlled society we live in, we need, like, 5,000... Chris, in your profession, I mean, you do projects, plumbing, mechanical services. God knows how many certificates and licenses.
Oh, yeah.
And taxes.
Insurance. I got 3 lots of liability insurance because I run 3 different types of businesses. So I can't use one for all. I got to have 3 different types.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think, like, right here, I do workshops in education, and I gotta keep 2 working with children's check and teaching registration, and I gotta keep them up to date every year. We have a license for, pretty soon, because it's dangerous for you. Butter will cause heart attacks. You're gonna need to get a license from the government to consume butter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for your own good. They're not letting you ride a bike without a helmet. They're not letting you be distracted while you drive. Like,
they don't care about that. They just want to put a fine on it so they can raise the revenue. Yeah. We got so much. Look, at the end of the day, our corporations don't pay tax like most other countries. Corporations, the Starbucks and the Apples. They make. We know how many iPads and iPhones they sell in this country. Yet I pay more tax than them. I'm sure of it.
Yeah,
I mean, percentage-wise, absolutely.
Yeah, they're paying nothing in tax. Yeah. So the state and federal governments have to get their money from somewhere, and they can only get it from the working class.
But it's more than that. You could just have a flat 50% tax, and leave us the fuck alone. But they're like managing behavior like we are in primary school. You know what I mean? And this is, we're installing these smart meters, which can connect to every device that you have, for whatever reason. they're putting microphones in washing machines, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. They can be hacked. No. It's good for you. Like, all these, like, government programs to vaccinate every child against, I don't know, HPV, like the ovarian cancer virus, which is the least dangerous cancer per death of all.
I can talk about that one.
You're going to give, like, every single child in a country a shot. Like,
wait a minute. First it was to give it to all the girls, right? And the government was going to pay for the shots. You'd have to pay nothing. So this company that makes this HPV shot, right, was to go to all the girls. And they went, oh yeah, that's really good. So all the girls are going to get it, and we're going to give it to them free. So everyone just, as soon as the people hear the word free, well, I'm going to get it. My daughter's got to get it. I'm going to get it to my daughter, right?
Yeah.
So then this pharmaceutical company went, but see, the boys can carry it. Now, if all the girls have it, how can a boy carry it? You know, I mean, this is a ridiculous bit.
Yeah.
So what we should do is we should give it to the boys as well, because that would stop them from carrying it. So now you've just doubled. Doubled. Well, in this country, you've done better than double your friggin' profits, because now you give it to all the boys. Now, I know a lot about this, because my son come home with a form, and I distinctly wrote, when he went to his school, I said, if he gets a shot for anything, I don't care if he's laying on the ground and bleeding out, if you give him a friggin' shot of anything, I want to know about it before you give it to him, right?
Yeah.
He come home with this form, you know, the shot is free, we're going to do it at this day, this is what it is. It was 3 different shots, right? All vaccines for something. Anyway, I read through it and I went, blah, blah, blah. I ticked it, no, and then I wrote down on the bottom in comments, if you make a mistake and you accidentally give my son this shot, I will sue you. And there will be no school. And that was it. I wrote on it. I had a phone call from the school. They said, what are you saying? I said, if any way, shape or form he gets this shot, and I haven't given you permission, I will sue you until you've got nothing left. Yeah. And I said to my son, when that day come, how many boys in your class, you know, how many boys in the whole school, because it was on that particular day?
All but 2, probably.
3 of them. So I said 3 parents read that form, did the research, and said, no, I'm not going to give my son that shot. 3 parents.
Across the board, I'll give you another example. We have these water restrictions. You know, the government goes, we are running out of water.
That's fucking bullshit.
Don't water your garden. Have a 2-minute shower. Because a 5-minute shower is a crime against the environment. Now,
unless you're
check
a rich
this
person.
out. I was talking to a guy from the Water Authority who manages the water in Victoria. Actually, he did that job for 12 years. And he told me, like, the water restrictions are the biggest joke ever. Consumer water consumption is like 2%.
2%, yeah.
98% is industry and agriculture.
Yeah.
And agriculture is the majority. It's like 60.
Yeah.
So all you needed to do is reduce the tiniest amount of, like, and it's all beef.
Yeah.
So, like, if we slow down our beef production by, like, 2%, like, water restrictions would be meaningless.
Yeah, yeah.
But they are, like, so they're tackling water shortage problem by telling you, the people, take shorter showers. And, I mean, and you have the least power to change that. Like, it's all about grazing for the millions of tons of meat we produce. I like eating meat. I like that it's cheap in this country. But, I mean, if the water availability is a problem, tackle...
Wait a minute. This is
the number one consumer.
This is even easier than that. Forget about the beef cattle, because I like steak, right? So, forget it, right? Yeah. All you have to do is get a piece of paper and write down, you will not farm cotton in this arid country. Full stop. No more problem with water whatsoever. Because cotton is the biggest consumer of water and poison to keep it running. And we, in the top end of Australia and Queensland, we do cotton farming. If you ban that tomorrow, there wouldn't be an issue with the water. Full stop.
But you see the trend, though. Like, they treat people like they're stupid, and people respond like they're stupid because they're lazy, not stupid. But it's just like, we're gonna control your life. Oh, like, you all gotta take these shots because we said so, even though they're fucking useless. Oh, you water restrictions. Like, there's neighbors reporting neighbors for fines of hundreds of dollars. Yeah. Such and such was watering during the water restrictions, and, like, you're backstabbing your neighbors and friends. It makes no difference. You're just like an idiot. Like, your water restrictions make no difference.
Yeah, it's a disconnect that they have to their environment and to information. It's sort of like, I mean, we got this amazing device, the internet, that fucking gives us all the information that we could ever want about anything. And
I want to start watering my concrete again.
But like, that's the whole thing.
That's in a 60s Australian tradition to wash my driveway down with the water.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I mean,
fluoride brings the concrete up.
It's us giving our power away to people. You know what I mean? It's us giving our power away to politicians. You go, I fucking pay my taxes. I do this. I just want to come home, sit down, watch TV, and fuck. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about corporate waste management. I don't want to think about fucking water. Oh, I'll do what I'm told. Yeah, okay. No, I shouldn't be eating.
The football's on.
Shouldn't be eating the sandwich in the car. I shouldn't be fucking doing this. No, fucking. Like, it's not. It's like just giving your power away to these people who are fucking there just to make money out of you. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's not questioning anything. And as soon as you question something and you bring up fucking logical, discrepancies in society and that, the majority of people will have a blank face, So
what do you do, Sean? What do you do, Sean?
You punch them. You punch them.
No.
Well, we do this. You try and spread information.
Well, this month, I'm going to my local council, which is local government, and I'm going to go and ask. I'm going to find out who the Treasury Department is at Dandenong, where I am at, and I'm going to ask them for a spreadsheet. Because I want to know money in, our rates and all the other crap that we've got to pay. I want to see money in and I want to see where the money's been spent. Now, I'm a taxpayer. I pay my rates. That there should be something they should be able to hand out to anyone who asks.
Is that possible?
Well, I'm going to go in and ask for it.
If it isn't, seriously, how unaccountable would that be?
Yeah, that's crazy.
If someone is taking your money every month for services for you, and you can't get to know what they're spending it on, absolutely, you should be able to. And if they say no, then that's a scandal. Then we're reporting this and say we're going to do an Alex Jones breaking now. Get this video to everyone you know. This is bombshell information.
See, all I want to know is, but see, the point is, at the end of the day is, the rates keep going up. It keeps costs every year. They keep going up, right? And they're increasing more than CPI, right?
Yep.
So what are you spending our friggin' money on?
Yeah.
And we see some of the things they spend it on. Just some of they just built new council offices in Dandenong. It looks like $1 billion apartment complex.
No, I know.
Why? Who made that decision? Was it 5 people in a room? Did we have a vote on it? I mean, it's ridiculous. So I want a spreadsheet. I pay my taxes. I want to know where that money's spent. Yeah. And then I could go and say, well, I'll go to the next meeting and go, what's this? This is waste. Yeah. This is waste.
I'm not paying my rates this month.
No. I'll just go run for council and I'll just really destroy it. Inside out.
We are... Yeah, I mean... I would say... We should. Look, probably my stance in most government is... It's not absolute anarchism, but it's much closer to anarchism than anything else. But I would say that if you're going to get involved with the government, make it the local and just the local, and
you got to start. You got to start from the bottom up, right? So if you make a difference if you can, let's just say you can get into council, right? First thing, yourself. You make a difference in yourself and what you do. If people see that you're benefiting from the way you've changed your lifestyle, then they'll jump on board. You don't have to tell them. They just say, "What are you doing?"
And then other people are going to do similar things in other councils.
Then the same as when you get on the council. It's a local thing. So you get on the council, and hopefully you haven't got a bunch of bloody developers and Liberal and Labor Party friggin' would-be could-bes that they push into local council. And you can get rid around them, or you can get your mates in, and we can all get into the council. Then you can change things from the inside out and benefit. And I think the number one thing is you just go on a platform as, I'm here to reduce your rates. I'm here to make the council smaller.
Yep.
We don't need guys out there mowing lawns every week when there's no lawn to mow in the middle of friggin' winter or summer.
Yeah.
It's the... turn half the public land to production of organic, cheaper than Woolworths food. Because if it's free, people abuse free. But if you provide people with freaking organic broccoli that's half price for what they pay for the sprayed shit at Woolies,
and when I get
they're gonna love the local.
But wait a minute. But then if I also get a single mother with 4 kids and she comes up to the council and goes, I've got no money, I need accommodation, I need this, I need that. Here's some food stamps. Go down and see that guy down the road there who's growing all that food.
Yep.
Give them to him and we'll reimburse.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you're right. We are, I would say, with this whole, we have a welfare state, whether we like it or not. And I would say, as far as what poor people need on top of their list is healthy food. Because by default, the poor in this country are guzzling down plastic.
Yeah.
And McDonald's, and pesticides, and herbicides, and mystery substances.
The old DDT still floating around.
You know, with three numbers, you know, between 1 and 1,000. Oh, it's the 571591520, blah, 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 blah. Like, and put it this way. If you're experiencing substandard schooling, if you're growing up in a culture that's basically anti-intellectual, very drug-riddled, and on top of that, you are consuming brain-destroying, mind-numbing, health-destroying chemicals for food.
Yep.
I mean, what chance do you get? I would say, you know,
You don't much, no.
in terms of uplifting people, the first step has got to be. The first step has got to be health. I mean, you know, lay off the shard, eat some freaking organic broccoli.
lay off the shard to start. Alright,
You know,
I think a lot of it is to do with essentially. I mean, when you do get into a mind state of wanting to, you know, learn information and wanting to really figure out the world around you when you haven't before, because I think it's very rare to have someone who actually, you know, find someone who's actually, you know, cared about as much as they can about the world from start to finish, you know what I mean? Usually it's a transformation that you have to make somewhere along the line, you know, where you go, oh, actually now I want to actually give a shit about the world I live in, and now I actually want to learn as much information as I can.
But these people are marginalised all the time. Anyone who gets up and talks about political issues, right? Not politics, because everyone goes, well, who do you vote for? You sound like a lefty greenie. Like, I don't vote for anyone. I don't like any of them. They're all the same. But as soon as you're talking about political issues, people like to put you straight into a box.
Yeah.
And they go, well, you know, you voted Liberal or whatever. But at the end of the day, you can't even talk to people about it because they're not interested. It upsets them.
Yeah, no.
It upsets them.
It does. This is my downtime. I don't want to talk about that sort of stuff. No, we're on holidays. No, or now it's the weekend. No, this is our fun time. You know what I mean? You can't have those. Essentially in Australia, a lot of the time you can't have those. Like,
you talk about football anytime.
You can talk about football straight up.
I would say you know, after criticizing them, as I said, the part of the culture that we have, say, among the lower middle class, working class, and so on, I've got a lot of faith in the kids. I've spent a year teaching in like North Dandenong, sort of like a dodgy suburb, and I was shocked with how clued in the kids were, man. The internet is really making a difference.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
As I said, the educational system is mind-numbingly boring, and it really kind of makes people ask why and how. And, you know, like, kids were asking me all these questions about the Illuminati, the Masons, the war in Libya, the next place that's going to get bombed. They were talking about transhumanism.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, I was.
I mean, that's interesting shit. That you don't need fucking Home and Away, and you don't need this crap when you've got that stuff. I mean, I just look at the news and I'm very interested. I'm like, holy shit, is this a movie? Are we in a movie? Like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, I mean, that's all the entertainment I need. What's actually happening in the world? And then there's all this other shit like spirituality, all this other stuff that once, you know, all the, you know, our physical reality is like, oh, well, this is a bit boring. There's so much, like, you know, other stuff, like, that you can look into.
Yeah, but the problem is, these people can't, they can ask you, right?
Yeah.
Because you were born in a generation where there was a computer, right? Yeah. But they can't ask their parents.
No, they can't.
Because most parents now, that these kids are thinking, their parents grew up where there was no computer, right? So they didn't have that information. Yeah. And number two is, half of them couldn't give you a 3-line or 4-line paragraph on what the communist or socialist system is, right? No. Like if you said, what's capitalism? They couldn't even summarise it, let alone communist or thing. All they get is, oh, that's bad.
Yeah, I mean,
it's collectivism and it's bad. You know, it didn't work. They
can't. I love that.
But they can't tell you anything about it.
Like, I do. Again, I'd probably be along with them to criticize socialism, but for whatever reasons I have, having looked into it. But
Come on, you're right. You got to say there's good and bad.
There is good. There is absolutely good. The idea that we are going to build a system based on a more equal share of resources based on what people need, based on people's needs, is a good one. You know, once you start getting to the practicalities of it.
To add to that, I think you know that everything you just said is completely great, except how are we going to do that? And then everyone goes, well, we need to centralise power, and I think that's the next step. Everyone wants to have more of an equal system, and I'm sure everyone wants everyone else to have a good life. That's fine, but I think the next step that we need to take is we need to get rid of that fucking centralised power and get back some sort of fucking, responsibility for your own life. And not giving away responsibility to fucking councils and to police and all the guys. They'll protect me. They'll sort my shit out. No, you have to do it yourself.
You're dead wrong. Think about it this way. I mean, people in Australia ask yourself this question. When was the last time the government passed a law that made you more free? When was the last time you said, we figured out that you can actually drive at 0.06, and the 0.05 was too strict, you could drive. When was anything done? You don't have to wear helmets. Hardly any people died without. Sorry, that was
we did a test. Not many people got brain injuries.
Marijuana's legal. Whatever. There is nothing. I can't think of a single law they passed to make you more free and more capable of making your own decisions.
So, they did say you could do 200 kilometers an hour if you didn't get caught.
So what I am saying is, the society needs to be based on a constant destruction of laws that try to control your life without great positive benefits. Sorry to interject here, but if there is a law that heart surgery can only be done with by professionals who have, that's fine. That's a good law. If we have legislation that makes sense, that saves lives, we are not going to have a building if the scaffolding doesn't meet these standards. Yeah. That's fine. Have those laws. There are laws that save lives. Yeah. They exist. There's good regulations. But in this country, it's like any regulation's a good regulation, and your freedom is meaningless. Yeah. There are no privacy issues with filming you all day long in your car. I've actually seen, we watched the video together of the police chief saying that. How are there no fucking privacy issues? I know. It's my personal property, and in my personal space, I should not have you fucking looking at me to see if I'm behaving. I am not 5 years old. I know. Go fuck yourself and your camera. I think that everybody in Victoria should now get tinted windows, and not even about are you doing something distracting or bad in your car. It's just your privacy is worth something, and you should get mad every time you hear about them collecting a ton of data on you in your online activity, or if you're taking a walk through the park and someone hears you swear next to your kid and reporting you to the Child Protective Service. Fundamentally, people should be trusted more. And when people are trusted more, when people are free, they may fuck up. Yeah. But in the long run, you learn from your mistakes. Yeah. If you're cushioned and punished and caroled and controlled by the government and watched at every step of the way, you're going to never grow up. No. You're going to be this infantile, spineless, freaking creature.
That's what they want. And that's it. And you're subscribing to this fucking paradigm of fear. It's sort of no, I'm afraid of everyone else around me, and I'm afraid of fucking taking some responsibility of doing something properly myself. So I'm going to fucking, subscribe to these people who are telling me what to do. You know what I mean? But if you're it comes down to being able to, it's hard to even say it, but being able to trust people around you, trust other members of society. You go, is it possible that I can trust them to do the right thing, and so that I can trust myself to do the right thing? You know what I mean?
You do that every single day. Every time you post a letter, you're trusting that people are going to do their freaking job. No. Every time you get in a car, you're trusting that 10,000 people that you're going to drive past are not lunatics that are going to turn into your way. Every time, you fucking catch a cold, you go to the doctor, you're trusting that the guy knows what he's doing. You're trusting people. That our society you don't have a society unless you trust people.
Yeah, that's
we
right,
generally in this country have a high level of trust. I mean, when you spend thousands of dollars of your own money and you send people an invoice, and you know what, 98% of the time that gets paid. Like, that is unheard of in most of the world. I mean, I know Chris has had some trouble with that, but that is unheard of, you know. And we already have that high level of trust. Like, why are you eroding it? Why are you trying to make people?
Yeah, but then you get back to the other issue before when you were talking about these governments. Not only should they be re-looking at all this legislation and trying to free it up, right? Instead of trying to fuck you over, it should be also the same as these governments. I mean, they talk about economy, right? I know what the word economy means. If I got good fuel economy in my car, then my car's running really well. You know, I'm getting from A to B. But the economy in this country, when we talk it in political terms, it's the opposite. It's you know. It's a V8 revving its guts out. You know, we're sucking up money like there's no tomorrow. But we don't know how. We haven't figured out how we can reduce that. It's all about, we've got to get more money.
We built more McMansions this year. Like, our economy's up here. Like, wait a second. You highly inferior infrastructure that is going to fall apart in 10 years. You know, like, this country is full of shitty houses, shitty roads. They're designed not to last ever. New cars being bought every 3 months, and you know, I mean, thankfully now the secondhand market is so freaking cheap and good because
secondhand market is pretty good at the moment.
Saturated.
Saturated.
Beautiful. You know, I mean, also properties like. You know, it's the ultimate con. We talked about it the last time, but guys, I think we should be kind of wrapping it up and trying to keep these at around the 60-minute mark.
Yeah, it sounds good.
And this was awesome, and I think it took us 3 weeks in between the two, but I reckon we'll do this in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll get every 2 weeks, I think, definitely.
Yeah, and it's an enormous amount of fun, and you know, next time we'll probably do it during the day. It'll be better daylight. All right, so thank you very much. There'll be links to other videos coming up after this, and a nice goodbye song, and subscribe, like, and like do things that people generally ask you to do on YouTube. We're not going to be repetitive with it, but yes, we would love it if you know, a video like this will eventually reach 1,000 views in its lifetime. I think that's more than enough audience. We couldn't ask for more. All right, take care. Much love.
Blah, blah, blah. So this is just another... Now the police are running this particular operation. But before you know it, it'll be another private company buying the contract from the government and out there raking in revenue for the government, making a profit. It's ridiculous. It's just...
All right, I'm going to cut you guys off there because this is the brief part, and we're going to talk about all of these stories in much more detail. The next two are... exactly on the same topic. There are crazy, interesting news in the realm of alternative fuels. The U.S. military is working on projects that in a decade should stop their use of tankers for the Navy, Navy ships. They're going to be synthesizing a carbon-based water fuel from seawater. So they'll be basically using their nuclear reactors and reworking seawater to create a fuel. And then from that, all the other ships are going to refuel. Pretty interesting. They should have that with a decade. I don't know how much it's going to change the world, because if it's owned by the U.S. military, it certainly isn't going to feed any kids in Africa. Even more interesting, even more sensational, a company again in the US, and it's SF-CIHT cell. So I don't know what the acronym stands for, but it's a solid water based plasma fuel. So think of something, I don't know, solid and water based. The only thing I can think of solid and water based is ice. And you pass a massive amount of electricity through it. It turns into plasma with makeup or looking around or maybe eating a burger or checking your phone while stuck in traffic as any normal human being would do. $433 fine. It is more than speeding 30 Ks in excess and for demerit points. And is this making us safer, Sean? Like, what do you guys think about it?
Well, I can see some police stations getting burned down. I'm not saying that's a good idea, but I tell you what, when some of those fines come out, I can see some people getting really angry.
Look, I mean, I think it's just obviously, it's all just another money grab. Obviously, there are people in dark rooms sitting there going, I wonder how we can get more money out of these motherfuckers. And, like, you just can imagine, like, you know, there are actually people there because, I mean, it's just this perpetual motion fucking system where the government system where they get bigger and then they get results. It's sort of like, okay, yeah, sure, you can just put rules and laws and anything that you want on these people, and okay, yeah, sure, it's going to save some lives, but like, when is it the time where enough is enough? It'll probably save some lives.
Yeah,
I mean, you could put laws on everything, and you could make sure people walk on the dotted line for their whole life. But
but on a serious note,
if we put everybody,
enough?
Listen,
Yeah.
if we were to feed everybody irradiated food, which is bacteria free, and put them in straitjackets, we are going to save
some lives.
Thousands.
Save some fucking lives, definitely. And save the children.
But on a serious note, when we had our speed cameras for our cars, you know, so you're breaking the speed, camera, indiscreet car on the side of the roads filming you as you break the speed limit. That was all done by the police, and then a private company took it over, and of course a private company's got to make a profit. They've got to do it over so many hours a day, so many fines.
In the middle of a detox, actually.
You are?
Yeah, I'm trying to get it together.
Get on to 13 coffees a day, that'll detox. Detox the fuck out of it.
It's really good for the bowel movement.
Alright.
Alrighty. Yeah.
Alright, just, do your best attempt at an introduction, and if I fucking hate it, I'll stop.
Okay, cool. Alright, so welcome to TMR News. Here we are again for our second edition, and we are here to talk about everything that makes the world turn and everything that's important in this world. And we've broken it down for you again. So we're going to list off a few important points of where we're going with today's news, and then you can stay around and listen, or you can leave, or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
We're okay with that. Anarchist News.
Anarchist News.
It is a bit like that. Okay, this week I'll be doing most of the talking because last week Sean was kind enough to bring the vast majority of our stories, and today someone else is listening
we're just here for comic relief, alright? We'll just keep it light, alright?
So, next time Chris is going to provide you with the content. Now, our first piece of news, and this is freaking unbelievable. I'm going to struggle to not swear in the next 2 minutes.
It's local news.
It is local.
Yeah.
Our police, our guardians, they keep us safe. They make you sleep soundly at night. Are looking after us again with cameras. They are going to film you from distances of about 700 meters while you're not looking in your car. And should you look distracted, should you be, I don't know, if you're a girl putting on such as like sun, it turns into basically a super, 50,000 times brighter than the sun. You put solar panels all around it, and you take off the electricity.
Yeah.
And so this thing apparently costs $25 a kilowatt. Your solar panels cost $1 a watt, which is $1,000 a kilowatt. So go figure. I mean, this could be a revolution in power generation. Yep. They don't make any claims about it being anything like free energy or over unity, but it's simply a highly potent, not very expensive, fuel-based power generation, and that this could be a game changer.
Hopefully the people who invented that will be around long enough to be able to see it through this time. Hopefully they don't get knocked off or have an accident driving home or get fined so much that they commit suicide or something like that.
Well, and what generally happens, they get bought out by Chevron or Woodside. Or
They'll be offered exorbitant amounts of money for the technology.
And they say something along the lines, we are looking for a bright future for the world with this. Like, I never... I'll break my own rule and go slightly off topic, but there was a presentation by this guy called Peter Diamandis, and he was saying how great this company was for inventing the cheapest water purifying system in the world, and how they are going to finally bring drinking water to all of Africa because they have gotten massive investment. They sold out to Coca-Cola. And of course, this was like 4 years ago. Nothing has happened on the front. Like, a major corporation is not, they benefit from scarcity. They're never going to, leverage one of these technologies to make life
Well, these
easier and
Africans
cheaper
should be
for
buying
everyone.
bottled water, Sonny.
I think
Probably
so.
Evian. They're French. They got it down pat.
They should be.
It's better for the economy. It's better for the world population because
Better for Nestle.
Better for Nestle.
Yeah, I know.
You can build homes out of those bottles.
Everyone wins.
And you could build homes out of those bottles.
And with the leftover ones, you can make works
A
of
raft
art.
and come to
Works of-
Australia.
Works of art
I mean,
on the beach.
I'd say if you're
Not with
Nestle,
the government
I
we
would,
got now.
I would say if you're Nestle, you're probably thinking the spare bottles are a lot better than the spare Africans. I think that is literally the mindset in terms of these giant multinational companies is human life just doesn't.
No, it doesn't factor in. Of course not.
It never does.
No, of course not.
Unless you can burn those bodies to run your boiler, to make fuel, to run the engines of capitalism.
Maybe if they insured them, and then I don't know, but it's
How
a very.
much oil is in a human body compared to a baby seal?
Well, I don't know. Maybe in the Mediterranean regions there's a bit more.
All right, next story. Google has just applied for a whole host of patents to be making contact lens cameras.
Contact lens camera, that's what you want.
You want the police?
Imagine the amount of porn on the net then. Just put your contact lens in, she wouldn't even know.
So that man sitting at the
Wow,
table,
man,
so the guy sitting at the table in McDonald's, right, drooling is not exactly drooling over the burger. He could be downloading porn on his friggin' contacts.
You could